years ago, our local officials met behind closed doors with we don't know who exactly, and hatched a plan for a private roadway that would seize public funds and public property, our streets, our common areas, and part of Schenley Park. They didn't consult with the residents. They announced it in the paper.
We unite as one to urge city administrators, foundation leaders, and university leaders to end the plan to build a roadway through our two neighborhoods. The first generation of humble, honest, hard-working immigrants came in search of a new life and brought with them their Italian traditions. This historic neighborhood should be protected and preserved, not threatened with an ill-conceived roadway.
The Port Authority, our public transit agency, has not been involved in any substantive way in this project, in the planning of the project. And that's a big problem because the city has been saying from the beginning that this project is intended to serve the public transit and overall mobility needs of the people of Hazelwood, of the people of the Run. And it seems like a big problem that our public transit agency hasn't been involved in any of that planning. There are bus routes that go through Hazelwood now. If there's a need, and I think there might be a need, a real need for better transit in Hazelwood and better transit for the Run. If there are in fact going to be thousands of people working and living in Hazelwood Green, yes, we'll provide much better bus service, public transportation to the whole area. And that hasn't happened. There are also big problems with what is being proposed. The infrastructure for this project is, for just the transit component of this project, is earmarked at between $4 and $10 million. That's just to build the infrastructure. And that's a lot of money. And we need to ask ourselves, right now the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure, DOMI, is projecting that there'll be 1,700 riders a day. But let's look at what microtransit projects have done in other cities. In Kansas City, the now bankrupt Bridgie microtransit project was a complete flop. In 1 year, it offered only 1,480 rides and cost $1.5 million to operate, which equals out to about $1,000 per ride.
Oh my God. Waste of dollars.
Similar microtransit projects in other cities, and Streets Block USA just did a big post on this, and they said the results have been consistent. Failures all around. They got a little pushback about that, so they put a little further looking into the two most successful microtransit projects. But they still only average between 4 and 6 riders per hour. Even the worst functioning, lowest ridership buses nationally, and this is true for Pittsburgh, have between 10 and 15 people per hour. So they're providing about half as much service. Those kinds of services look approximately like the old dial-a-ride services. We have 2 of those dial-a-ride services operating in Allegheny County, Ride Acta, which operates in the airport corridor, and Heritage, that operates in the Mon Valley. Both of those services average about 4.3 riders per year. That's what they were averaging in 2013. And that's what I would expect to see from this current proposal. The 93, which provides the primary link between Hazelwood and Oakland, currently has 39 riders per hour and rides just over 1,000 people per day.
Big difference.
And that's a big difference. And I think that that's why DOMI's projected out, slightly over the total that the Port Authority bus currently provides, because it makes it look like it's a viable transportation alternative, and I don't think we'll see that. But maybe DOMI knows something that we don't. And that's why Pittsburghers for Public Transit has asked DOMI repeatedly for the information underlying their analysis and what that analysis is. And they haven't provided it. So it's really hard to evaluate, are their numbers true? And if that's not true, I think that they should share that with us. DOMI's also presented some very nice looking charts at all the meetings. They had one that showed different transportation alternatives. And of course the microtransit service driven by nobody, with the robot bus scored the highest. Just below that was expanding Port Authority service. But they won't provide the data that they use to prepare that chart. And when we asked them, they said, well, it was more of a gut feeling, which makes me think that there is no data underlying that. 2 currently operating dial-a-ride services that operate in Allegheny County pay significantly less than what the Port Authority pays. Ride Acta is a union shop, and they pay about $14 an hour right now, and it's a hard-fought $14 an hour. Port Authority starts at $15 an hour and goes up from there. Those are good, family-sustaining jobs.
That's right.
What we're going to see, what they're proposing with the microtransit here, is a bus that has no operators. There's nobody getting paid to drive it. And that's going to be an attack on good, several thousand good family-supporting jobs in Allegheny County. If it's successful and they can run it with no operators, they can expand that service, and we'll see 2,000 drivers eliminated at the Port Authority. But the Port Authority isn't the only mass transit operators that are driven by people we see in the city. You'll see Ride Acta get eliminated, you'll see Heritage get eliminated. Those are hundreds more jobs. There are shuttles that Pitt and CMU run. Those are hundreds of jobs we could see eliminated. It's just an attack on the people who drive our public transit vehicles. Thank you very much.